Hey guys, it's Cayley. It's been a while since we've done a thrift with me, and I'm getting ready to go out for an entire day of thrifting, and I thought I'd bring you guys along with me. I'm hoping to get to at least 5 stores today. If you guys are new to my channel or you haven't heard this about my business, I have to travel at least 1 hour away to get to a good sourcing location, so I have a pretty long route. A lot of resellers are in this situation, and my strategy is to pick the top-notch items out of every place that I go to and try to get to more places to bulk up how much I'm able to get. I'll talk more about my strategy as we go along, but let's head to the first thrift store. I always try to keep regionality in mind wherever I am thrifting, and so certain stores produce different things for me, and so I just kind of give myself a pep talk before I go in to know exactly what I'm looking for. This particular location and the other stores that I'm going to, this region tends to not have great sell-through rate bolos, but they have a lot of better style-based pieces and also in-demand vintage stuff. It's just what this area produces, so I'm keeping that in mind as I go along, and as usual, I'm trying to figure out what the new color is. I checked for the new rack, but they didn't have any out, so I headed over to the men's, and these shoes were the first thing that caught my eye. Crocs sell so well for me. They are more bread and butter, but a lot of the styles have over 100% sell-through rate. These were called the Mellow Recovery Clogs, and they had an amazing sell-through rate. I'm gonna scrub these up and hopefully they will be in excellent condition. I'm gonna list mine for $25 plus shipping. This store just started doing a new tag system, which actually shows the date that the label was printed, so it makes it really easy for me to figure out what the new color is for the week. And so we'll be looking for blue today. I'm basically going to zoom through each aisle, look for chunks of blue, and take a look at the items to see if they are worth getting and if they fit my sourcing constitution. I'll obviously also pay attention to colors that aren't blue and see if anything piques my interest as I'm walking along. I stopped to look this shirt up just because I like looking up lots of military things. Some of them end up being really good. However, I looked this one up and it's a very generic, very cheap brand, so this one got left behind. I also saw these kids Hey Dudes boots, and I actually just picked up this exact style in men's, and it had a really great sell-through rate. However, I looked up the kids, not as great of a sell-through rate, so I ended up leaving these behind. But if you do see any kids Hey Dudes, some of the styles do have great sell-through rates. I think I say this all the time, but just a reminder, if you ever see a brand with a specific style name on the tag, it's always worth looking up, even if it's in a brand that doesn't as a whole have a great sell-through rate. This is an LL Bean Northwoods flannel, and after looking it up, it had a great sell-through rate. I'll be listing this for $25 plus shipping. Y2K men's hoodies are something that I'm still seeking after, especially in popular mall brands. I came across this Y2K Aeropostale men's zip sweatshirt. However, after doing some comps and also considering all of the factors or lack thereof, I decided to put it back, especially because this one didn't have an actual hood. Here's something else I almost always look up, which is men's denim shirts. This one appears to be a vintage label, and I would have gotten it for style reasons alone. However, this one ended up having a few flaws, so I left it behind. Next, I spotted these pair of Hoka One One shoes. This is an excellent brand to look for, especially in men's, but honestly, just about any style performs well. I did a Google lens on this specific style. It ended up being some kind of a hiking trail shoe, and while did it have an excellent sell-through rate, they were going for about 50 to 70 pre-owned. However, I ended up leaving these behind because even with the wear, it was still too worn on the sole for me to end up getting them. I just didn't feel good about it, so I put them back. And then right after that, oh my gosh, you guys, I found the coolest pair of men's Y2K shoes. These are Skechers Jammers men's chunky platform boots. These are a very rare find. I am going to market these to the right buyer, price them up pretty high. They only wanted $7.99 for them, and I think I'm going to list these for around $125 or best offer. Okay, this is super random, but I always glance down the linen section to look for any sheets or bedding that might do well, and I came across this handmade boho blanket. It was so cute, but I ended up leaving it behind. Done with the men's section and started heading over to the women's when I heard a new cart roll out. So as always, I'm going to that first and checking that out. It ended up being a hard goods cart, and I took a look at these boots, but they weren't anything good, so I left it behind, and now I'm gonna start working on the women's section. I always look at the intimates, the bras, the pajama section, because there can be some really great things stashed in there. I came across this women's little slip cami top, and I've been marketing things like these as actual tops, and I think this one fits perfectly for the Y2K aesthetic. So I'm gonna get this and again market it as a Y2K top. One good thing about finding stuff in this section is it's typically a lot cheaper than the actual tops. Even though I do find good deals, I also come across bad deals just as frequently, and so I leave a lot of things behind when I go thrifting. This particular store prices up a lot of things such as American Eagle, Under Armour, North Face, and so for that reason I have to leave a lot of bread and butter pieces behind. I love picking up men's Under Armour sweatpants, especially in larger sizes. This one I did consider getting just because it was that more Y2K style, which is harder to come across, but they wanted $8.99, and so because of that, I'm leaving these behind. That's also the reason I don't spend a whole lot of time in jeans in this store, because they are priced so high. So what I normally do is just skim the bottoms to see if there is anything with an exaggerated leg. I didn't find anything this day. This particular day, I was really struggling because I was finding a lot of wintry and fall really great pieces, but since we're moving out of there, I was kind of debating, do I get it and try to quick sell it, or am I too afraid that these items are going to sit? So you'll see throughout the rest of today, I have to make a lot of those decisions. Some I get, some I don't. This skirt was really great and it was really on trend for fall. These plaid with the fringe, longer length skirts were doing so well a couple of months ago, but I decided to leave this one behind, decided that we've moved past this style. Not only looking for bolos in the well sought after high sell-through rate brands, but you guys know me, I also love studying and researching brands that I frequently come across. And so I'm looking for bolos in those two based on my studies. Two brands that I frequently come across are American Eagle and Aerie, which are basically the same brand, but lines off of each other. And so I have been studying that. And one thing I know that does perform well are the waffle items. Again, I'm struggling with seasonality on these, but demand is still pretty good for these. I would have picked up this sweatshirt right here had it not had the staining that it did. Later, I came across another sweatshirt. This one is oversized and cropped. It has no staining, and I did end up getting this. I came across quite a few of what I would consider better brands, such as Kate Spade and some Anthropologie pieces, but these styles were just not in demand, so I left them behind. Came across this, what I think was a newer style and definitely a more substantial piece, Athleta full jumpsuit. This was oversized. It did have some smudging on it, but that would have washed right off. I heavily considered getting this, but after checking comps, surprisingly, they weren't good, so I left it behind. I also came across this Gap denim dress. This was really on trend, and I definitely would have picked this up had dresses not been close to $10 at this store. Next, I came across this Eddie Bauer vintage dress. Maxi dresses in these outdoorsy brands, when they're vintage, have always performed well for me. So I picked it up despite the high price because I can usually sell those for at least $40. Just some more things that I'm not getting due to high prices. This is La Vie by Rebecca Taylor, a really nice designer brand, very high quality made, but not good sell-through rates. Also came across these style-based dresses, the very milkmaid coquette style with the puff sleeves and the short bust right there. And I definitely would have grabbed some of these at the bins, but not for how much they want to pay here, because I would typically only sell these style-wise for around $25 to $30. I did end up picking up this Abercrombie & Fitch dress. I can typically sell dresses like these for around $40, and so I'm comfortable paying that $9 price. Full-length lace dresses are so on trend right now, so when I saw this Catherine's plus-size dress, I really wanted to get it, but again, just price-wise, didn't feel comfortable spending $9 on that. Now I'm moving through the top section and I see this really gorgeous baby doll top. However, it was too large of a size and I didn't think it would translate to the buyer. I also found a couple of these, you'll see the other one here in a second, Y2K Lucky Brand tees with the Asian prints to them, and those always perform well for me, so I end up getting those. I end up finding a ton of the Milkmaid coquette style, like puff sleeves, short bust, very florally, that I would get at the bins, just not at a regular thrift store for $5 per piece. Just too much of an investment that I think I could get at the bins for the same kind of pieces. I also take a look at this Rachel Zoe top. I've actually been having some pretty good luck with Rachel Zoe. I just focus on substantial pieces. I looked at this one because it was like a scarf print, very old money, sometimes equestrian, but again, $5, I'm gonna leave that behind. Next up, I come across a Lululemon long sleeve Swiftly top. These actually do perform decently well, but they were upcharging this, and I didn't think I'd be able to have much of a net profit after that. I'm still coming across American Eagle and Area because, like I said, some of the brands that I come across the most, and I like this Seriously Lived In line. However, I thought this piece was not substantial enough. It was just like lacking something, maybe a better color, larger size, or even a waffle, and I would have probably picked it up. I also came across this Gimmicks by BKE top. This is a style-based piece I definitely would have gotten at the bins, but again, just not $5 at the store. I got really excited when I came across this Abercrombie & Fitch Y2K top. It is not baby doll, but it's definitely Y2K, tightly fitted, and a Y2K style. After doing some comps on Henleys like that, and the fact that it was fleece on the inside, it just felt like it was going out of season and not worth investing the money into, so I put that one back. Later, I came across this new brand to me, and I really like this sweater. It had a lot of indicators of quality, just the thickness of it, the on-trend graphic that said mama, and I actually ended up, after doing comps, deciding to pick this up and try it out. I'm only going to list it for $25, but comps looked really good. Later, I came across this Wilson's women's real suede leather jacket. They did want $8 for it, but I thought it was extremely on trend. I'm going to lean this one into like the Western bohemian look, and I really like that it's cinched at the waist for a more fitted look, and I'm going to list that for around $40. Here is another one of those Lucky Brand Y2K graphic tees. Also came across these pair of kids Sorel boots, and kids Sorel boots sometimes can perform just as well as the adults. After looking up, I didn't think there would be enough net profit, and so I left those behind. This is a brand I come across a couple of times now. It feels really nice, has a lot of indicators of quality. It's called, I think it's pronounced Masai, but just comps are not good enough, so I end up leaving this behind, unfortunately, even though it was so high quality. And I also came across another Rebecca Taylor. This one seemed to be a newer label, and honestly, it was very on trend, kind of like a structured cinched in look. However, just not good demand on this, and not willing to pay that much at a thrift store. All right, I just finished up at that store. I had some really good finds in there, and so even though it's a small batch of items, I mean, I think I got roughly like somewhere between 10 and 15 pieces, small bag full of stuff. Even though it was a small batch, I'm getting some higher ASP things, which I always like to see. I did just get a text, and I actually have to disrupt my day a little bit. I can't source as much as I want to, so I've got to head back home very soon. So definitely not getting to 5 stores today, but I think I still have time to go to 1, maybe possibly 2, so I'm going to take you along with me. On to the next one. The store was pretty busy, so I didn't get to film as much as I wanted to in here, but the first thing I came across was this Henry Bendel women's top. I don't usually get excited about luxury labels anymore just because a lot of them do not have good demand. Henry Bendel, very expensive, and the only reason I really looked at this was because it was an on-trend sheer meshy piece, and I do end up picking this one up. And in that same section, I'm coming across a lot of what seem like designer pieces. So I'm just taking my time to look that up because more than likely the same person that donated the Henry Bendel also donated all of these pieces. And that is something, if I notice a pattern in a store, I'll take a little bit more time to comb through the section. This ended up not being a great piece. So my strategy is the exact same as the last store. I'm just going through and looking for chunks of blue and then making sure to comb through each of those smaller sections to see if there's anything that fits my sourcing model. Like I said, I'm being hyper aware that there might be more higher quality things just because of all the stuff I noticed before. The next thing I come across that I end up getting is an Aerie Henley top. Again, Aerie, American Eagle, find a ton of them, and Henleys are one thing that I've noticed have performed well for me. They're very bread and butter. They only sell for about $25, but they do flip quickly, and so I put that in the cart. Later on in the men's department, I find a 100% cashmere men's polo sweater, and I wouldn't normally get cashmere at this time of the year. However, it was very spring color. It was very preppy with the polo collar, and so I do end up getting that, and I think I'm going to price that for around $30. This next one is a brand that I couldn't find enough information on. It did seem to have a decent demand. It seems to be like some kind of an indigenous brand that makes a lot of graphic t-shirts. Some of the comps were only going for like 10 to 15, while others were going for 60. Because I wasn't super confident in the one that I had, there just wasn't enough information. I decided to leave this behind. I find some more Y2K men's sweatpants, which always perform well for me in these mall brands, and I can usually sell them for $25 to sometimes $35 depending on size, brand, condition, all that stuff. And I do end up getting these men's Aeropostale chunky drawstring sweatpants, and I think they only wanted $5 for these. Here I am debating whether I should pick up something that is about to go out of season and just heavily weighing how good the item is. This is an Express vintage multicolor wool chunky sweater. This was just so rare and unique, and I know that rainbow sweaters like these were performing really well for the winter season, and I decide to go ahead and get it and just make sure that I'm going to price competitively. I haven't decided what I'm going to price it for yet, but I will definitely be pricing lower than I normally would. Next up, I come across a J. Crew piece. With J. Crew, I've noticed that their newer styles have been performing well, and so I always check the tag inside to see how new the piece is, and then obviously look at the piece as a whole. This is a linen blend. It's a more substantial piece, and it's also very on trend and can be leaned into multiple different aesthetics. So I do end up getting this piece, and I'm going to mark it for $25. Next up, I come across a Patagonia women's fleece. They had this one priced up, but I still looked it up because sometimes certain styles, prints, and size combinations do perform well in search. This one, however, after looking it up, didn't, and I wasn't going to invest that price on it. Came across this Psycho Bunny shirt, and I was really confused at first because it looked like the size said 5. After doing a little bit of research, I learned that they actually make kids clothes, and so after doing a comp, I realized it wasn't going to be worth it to get it. And honestly, Psycho Bunny as a whole, it used to have a 100% sell-through rate. Now it doesn't, so just being more and more picky with everything that I get. If it seems like I'm bouncing around, it's because some of the aisles were busy, so I didn't get to go in my normal snaking routine thoroughly through the store, and so I had to bounce around and come back to sections that I couldn't get to before. I came across this Maurice's women's Y2K top. Look how old that label is. This one had so many great factors for the whimsy goth aesthetic, and so I put this into my cart. I'm going to list that for $30. Still bouncing around because it's just so busy in the store, but I'm in the dress section now, and I came across this super cute, it was actually, I think, Natori, so vintage little slip dress, and I really wanted to get it, but pricing was way too expensive. I was going to market that towards like boho, psychedelic, rave, but again, price too high. Also found this super cute denim black dress / jacket that I might keep for myself. Then I came across this Zara long length milkmaid smocked dress. Zara substantial dresses like this and longer lengths do perform well for me, and this one is very on trend, so I decided to pick it up. I also found this Wrangler Y2K crochet like vest situation that I can lean into many different aesthetics, such as festival boho or even like country cowgirl, or even whimsy goth. So I decided to pick that one up. I'll likely list that for $25 to $30. Okay, this next one is so funny to me because for a second I thought I found men's Rock Revival jeans in the women's department. I thought this is going to be good, and I checked it. They actually were men's jeans, but someone had DIY'd them into a women's maxi skirt, which, by the way, I think this skirt is super cute. I think they did a great job, but I just thought that was funny and would show you guys. I did not end up picking it up just because it was a higher price. And I'm just finishing up in a couple of the sections that I didn't get to go to before. And lastly, I come across this kimono top and heavily decided getting it just for style-based reasons. It was mixed print. I know that some of the animal prints right now are doing well, but after checking comps, I just saw that there was way too much on the market available and not enough sold. So I left that kimono behind.
Had enough time to go to one more place, so let's head into the next store.
The first thing I come across is this Carhartt women's vintage canvas vest. You guys already know these things are super trendy, even the vests are, and so I looked this up. Great sell-through rate. They wanted $14.99 for it, but I'm confident that I can sell it for at least $50, if not possibly over $100. I just have to really look up the style of this one and see how old it actually is and just drill down and search. But yeah, picking this one up. Next, I came across this Kimchi Blue by Urban Outfitters. Appears to be a newer label. I've never seen this label before. This is a super cute baby doll top, very whimsy goth, satiny, lots of great colors. So I decided to get this one at $5. Even though we're at a regular thrift store, I thought it was a great style-based piece, and I'm going to list that for somewhere between $25 and $35. And next I came across this We The Free newer label top. Not a very substantial piece. The only reason I'm even looking at it is because it is a size large, and so I looked up the style of this, didn't find much information, and decided to leave that behind. Next, I come across this style-based crochet little cardigan / open knit top. This one is very on trend. I actually would have ended up getting this one, but it ended up having a stain, so I left that behind. A new rack rolled out and I saw the employee putting a stack of dresses away, and this caught my eye and I ran over and grabbed this immediately. It ended up being a newer label, new with tags, women's dress in a great size. I think this was called the Gwendolyn dress. I am pretty sure I'm going to price this for close to $100. So that was an excellent find, and they had it priced like all of the other dresses, which was amazing. Next, I came across a mass donation of men's club fleece shorts. These things have an amazing sell-through rate. I flip them constantly, and I believe these were all a size extra large. The problem was they had them all priced for around $9. Had they had them priced at $5, I would have picked up all of these, and I think there was like at least 10 here, and I was really sad to have to leave all of these behind. Next up in the men's department, I came across this brand that is sold through the Huckberry website, which is something I almost always get. This is the brand Wellen, and this is their hoodie that I saw an exact comp for around $35 or $40. So I went ahead and grabbed this one. Also in the women's department, I came across this J. Crew new with tags item. Seems like someone had a mass donation of some really great pieces. I do end up getting this J. Crew cardigan, even though we're going out of season, just because of all of the great factors, the fact that it is new with tags, and I believe it was also a recent style. So I'm just going to price accordingly. Someone had donated an Aritzia Sunday Best piece. This one had a lot of washwear, so I left that behind. Then I came across this women's Athleta puffer jacket. This exact style has over 100% sell-through rate. They wanted $9.99 for it, but I was totally willing to pay for it because it was high sell-through rate in the size that I had, and some of them are going close to $100, so I went ahead and grabbed that. I also grabbed this women's Free Fly bamboo hoodie. This brand itself has gone down a little bit in sell-through rate, and so I really had to drill down to the size that I had and everything, but I decided to get this and flip it for $25. There were a couple other pieces that I didn't get to show you guys that also had great sell-through rates that I ended up picking up, but again, the store just was too busy and trying to move too quickly to get home.
All right, guys, so I just finished up at the last store and I don't have any more time left to thrift today, so I am going to head back home. Probably my best find today were those Skechers boots, and I haven't even priced them yet, but knowing that they're going to sell for quite a bit and not including those, my average for everything I got today was around $6 for cost of goods, and then my average sale price is around $40, and it's probably going to be a little bit more than that after I price some of the higher things that I got that I just shoved in my cart because I knew I wanted them. But yeah, I think that's it for today. Let me know if you guys want to see more of these thrift with me videos. I haven't done one in a while. If you guys want to see more, I can do more. Drop it in the comments down below. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.